Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. The movie starts with a young couple, named Pippa and Thomas, who've recently moved into their first apartment in Montreal. In the following scene, Pippa tells Thomas that she would like to hold off on having kids so that they can enjoy the rest of their youthful years of being rebellious. Thomas happily accepts Pippa's decision on waiting to have kids. Then the two toast their glasses to making wonderful and terrible decisions. The two then embrace and kiss, but their attention is suddenly veered as they notice bright flashing lights coming from across the street as their neighbors partakes in a photo shoot. They two then curiously spy on their neighbors as they begin to kiss, and this soon leads them into the kitchen where they begin making love. After that, Pippa tells Thomas that they are officially starting to act like creepy weirdos. Then she tells him it's their first night in the new apartment and they should be giving their neighbor some privacy. In the bathroom, Pippa puts on sexy lingerie and perfume, hoping they can make love themselves instead of spying on their neighbors. But when Pippa steps out of the bathroom, she gets disappointed as she notices Thomas has quickly fallen asleep. Pippa then lays in bed with a disappointed look on her face as things didn't go as she had planned. The following day, Pippa heads to work with her best friend Ari, where she works as a trainee optometrist for a company called L'Optique. Pippa tells Ari that last night her and Thomas witnessed a gorgeous couple making love in the building across the street, but she tells Ari that it wasn't okay for them to secretly spy on the couple. However, Ari tells Pippa that the couple may be exhibitionist and that watching them make love would actually be the polite thing to do. Soon after, Dr. Sato comes to Pippa's office and she gifts her with a Japanese bird feeder as a housewarming gift for her new apartment. Later that day, Pippa hangs up the bird feeder, then the two drift towards the window to spy on their neighbors. Thomas then states that he wants to become friends with the unknown couple who they are now becoming curiously intrigued by. Then Thomas wonders what their names could be and Pippa jokingly gives them the names Margot and Brent. The following day, while walking past an antique store, Pippa spots a nice pair of binoculars that she buys in order to get a better view. As she spies on the couple back at home, Pippa and Thomas immediately puts the binoculars to use, watching as Brent takes photographs of a beautiful topless model, and things soon get flirtatious between the two as Brent begins to kiss and caress on the woman. Then Pippa undresses Thomas and they begin to copulate as Pippa watches Brent and the model. The following day, the two goes to brunch with Arya and Thomas's younger sister Junie, and Junie believes that Margot is Brent's wife, and while she was out of town, Brent got thirsty and he decided to cheat on her. Ari then states that the couple may be in an open relationship and they may in fact be swingers due to the habits of Brent's hedonistic lifestyle. Then Pippa states that she wishes she could hear what Brent and Margot were saying. Junie then reveals that back in college, Thomas figured out how to secretly listen in on another room using a long-range microphone and a laser pointer. After this, Thomas explains to Pippa that a large picture window vibrates when you make a noise, so if you shine a laser through the window, it also vibrates, and if you're able to capture the pattern of the vibration, you can translate that into waveforms and hear the actual sounds coming from the other room. And Thomas and Pippa planned to sneak into Brent and Margot's apartment to pull this off as they notice they are throwing a Halloween party. Later that night, Pippa and Thomas dress up in their costumes as they go to the Halloween party in order to secretly place a mirror in Brent and Margot's apartment. While at the party, Pippa tugs on Thomas's cape, signaling him to block her. Then she quickly places a piece of gum on the back of the mirror and she places it on the statue back at home. Pippa and Thomas proceeds to set up the laser pointer. Thomas then carefully shines the laser pointer into the apartment while being guided by Pippa, and they soon find the mirror in no time as Thomas successfully shines the laser pointer directly on it. After that, Thomas tells Pippa that they need to find the reflective laser that's being bounced off the mirror, and Pippa gets an idea as she grabs the chalk erasers and gathers chalk from off of the blackboard, and she claps the erasers together, creating a light fog in the air that soon exposes the laser pointer. Then Thomas goes to work on his audio digital mixer to balance out the waveforms, and with a few adjustments and minor tweaks, the sound of Margot and Brent talking begin to play through the speakers, and with the sound clear, Margot can be heard confronting Brent about his adultery at the party, claiming that she saw him cheating with another woman. However, Brent angrily denies sleeping with the woman at the party and claims that Margot actually makes up lies and accuses him of cheating in hopes to end their relationship. Brent goes along to persuade Margot that her suspicions about him cheating are baseless. The following day, Margot comes to Pippa's job as she spots her while sitting in her office. Suddenly, the receptionist calls Pippa over to come to the front desk, and she's greeted by Margot, who tells her that she needs help finding new glasses, and the two formally introduce each other and shake hands. After that, while Margot is leaving, she stops and invites Pippa to grab a cup of coffee and go to the spa whenever she's free, and Pippa happily accepts the invitation. Then she gives Margot her number. Next, Pippa tells Thomas that she met Margot at her job, and it's later revealed that Margot's name is actually Julia. She also tells Thomas that she wants to warn Margot about Brent cheating on her, but this infuriates Thomas as he tells Pippa that Margot doesn't need to be saved by her because it is none of her business. Angered, Thomas grabs his coat and heads to the bar across the street. After this, as time goes by, Pippa continues to obsessively immerse herself in Julia and Sebastian's relationship day after day, watching the couple, still consumed by the secret that she wants to reveal to Julia, and also unassisted by Thomas, who's completely disregarded spying on Sebastian and Julia, leaving Pippa to sadly dwell alone in her obsessive habit. One day, while spying on Sebastian, Pippa watches as he has intercourse with two women while Margot is away. She also watches as Sebastian disposes of the used condom in the bathroom trash can. Later that night, Pippa figures out how to access Julia and Sebastian's wireless printer, which she uses to anonymously send messages exposing Sebastian's infidelity. Julia goes to read the message, but she quickly crumbles it up and throws it away. Adamant, Pippa sends another message telling Julia about the used condom Sebastian threw away in the bathroom trash can. Pippa quickly goes to watch Julia as she looks over and hears the message coming through the printer. Unexpectedly, Thomas comes and startles Pippa, asking her what's going on, and the two watches Julia finds the used condom in the bathroom trash can. After that, infuriated by finding the condom, Julia goes to the kitchen and grabs a sharp knife and makes her way to the bedroom where Sebastian is sleeping. Moreover, Julia stands over Sebastian with a knife and lunges the blade down, but she stops midway as she couldn't bring herself to stab him. Exasperated, Thomas grabs the binoculars out of Pippa's hands and throws them to the ground. The following day, Pippa apologizes to Thomas and tells him that she will throw away the binoculars and she won't see Julia ever again. Thomas accepts her apology, and as they hug, Pippa gets horrified and quickly grabs the broken binoculars and sees Sebastian has found Julia's lifeless body covered in blood, apparently after she fatally wounded herself last night. Unable to fathom what Pippa has caused, Thomas quickly grabs his things and tells Pippa he has to leave and he can't be with her anymore. After Pippa states how is she supposed to know that Julia would hurt herself, and what is she supposed to do, and Thomas furiously replies that it's nothing she can do because Julia is dead because of her. Then he grabs his coat and tells Pippa that their relationship is officially over. Pippa continues to spy on Sebastian even after what she caused, watching as he angrily hurls a bottle against his wall. In the next moment, Sebastian makes his way to the local bar across the street, and Pippa decides to follow him there. Sebastian and Pippa talk, and he asks her if she minds if he takes a few photos of her, and the two leave the bar and heads to his apartment. Furthermore, Sebastian gives Pippa a glass of wine and he begins taking photos of her. After that, Sebastian asks Pippa if she can fully undress herself, and Pippa does so without putting up much of a hassle. Sebastian also undresses and he slowly moves in close for a kiss, and she doesn't stop him as she slowly succumbs to the temptation. And in the next moment, the two begin copulating amidst the serious infidelity. Thomas can be seen approaching the building with a bouquet of flowers as he comes to reconcile with Pippa. After that, Thomas takes a sip of a drink that he doesn't find too appealing. He discards the drink and he suddenly notices two people copulating inside of Sebastian's apartment. Curious, Thomas grabs the binoculars to have a closer look, and he is instantly crushed when he sees that it's Pippa who is with Sebastian. The following day Pippa returns home and she is extremely horrified to find Thomas dead in the apartment, seemingly after he hung himself last night a few paces ahead. Pippa meets with her friend Ari and tells her how bad she feels about causing the death of Thomas and Julia. However, Ari tells Pippa that she's still a good person even if she doesn't feel that way at the moment, and Pippa replies, "Is she such a good person, then why does she still have the urge to want to see Sebastian again?" Pippa then states if she can just see Sebastian one last time, maybe she can move on, and with that they decide to go see Sebastian at his opening night. Upon their arrival, Pippa is flabbergasted as Sebastian makes an introduction speech to bring Julia to the front stage. Baffled at the sight of Julia being alive, they reveal that the whole exhibition is based on Thomas and Pippa as they began unveiling several pictures. Moreover, as the pictures continue to be unveiled, Sebastian tells the audience that Thomas and Pippa began to care more about his and Julia's life, way more than their own. Thus, the exhibition is ended by saying first, the obsession tore Thomas and Pippa apart emotionally, then it tore them apart forever after the sudden shock of betrayal. Pippa breaks into Julia and Sebastian's apartment where she finds a secret room filled with tons of pictures and surveillance equipment, revealing that Sebastian and Julia were also watching them the whole time. With all that's happened, Pippa decides to move out of her building. Pippa goes to drain the dark liquid substance that Thomas placed in the bird feeder, and she looks down to notice tiny dead birds laying on the grate beneath the window, and suddenly Pippa looks up to see Julia standing there waving at her, and this raises Pippa's suspicions tremendously. Furthermore, as Sebastian and Julia come home one day, they are greeted by a bottle of wine from an anonymous gifter. Julia and Sebastian drink the wine and suddenly they turn their heads as they receive a message to their printer. Pippa sends a message that she knows that Thomas didn't kill himself, and one last message that says she knows that they're the ones who killed him. Sebastian grabs his camera and they spot Pippa on the building roof across the street, but Pippa grabs her laptop and she immediately flees and a chase ensues. Pippa leads them to Eleptique. They quickly catch up to Pippa and corner her, but a frightened Pippa reveals she knows that Julia is the one who poisoned the drink, which was the actual cause for Thomas's death. In the next moment, Pippa tells Julia and Sebastian that they can no longer hurt her because she has nothing left. Suddenly, as Julia talks, she becomes disoriented and she falls to the ground and passes out. Sebastian himself becomes increasingly dizzy as Pippa reveals that she sent the bottle of wine that she spiked that caused them both to faint as he drops to the ground. Pippa then tells Sebastian to take one final look at her face because it's the last thing that he'll ever see. Then Pippa places Julia and Sebastian's unconscious body under the X-Simmer machine and she completely burns their pupils. In the final sequences of the movie, a new couple has now rented Thomas and Pippa's previous apartment there. They spot Julia and Sebastian standing in the window, but they are now blind forever, as Pippa made sure they would never see another curious neighbor ever again so they can destroy their lives. And as Pippa watches them from a distance, she places the broken binoculars down and she walks away, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.